Here's what's new on CBS2.com.
Thank you.
The Democrats in Denver. The crowd roars for the liberal lion of the Senate, Ted Kennedy.
Nothing is going to keep me away from this special gathering tonight.
Campaign 08, the Democratic National Convention. From Denver, here is Katie Couric.
And good evening, everyone. The 45th Democratic Convention is now underway, and we'll all be witnessing history here this week. For the first time, a major party will nominate an African-American to be president of the United States. Barack Obama, the 47-year-old senator from Illinois. This convention is all about introducing him to voters watching at home, and helping him to do that is his wife. Michelle Obama is the featured speaker tonight. We'll be hearing from her in a few minutes. But first, there was a very dramatic and emotional beginning to this convention just a short time ago. Caroline Kennedy introduced a video tribute to her uncle, Senator Ted Kennedy, who, as many of you know, is now battling brain cancer. Then when that video was over, Ted Kennedy came out to address the delegates, and the crowd went wild. Byron Pitts has more about this incredibly emotional moment. Byron?
With these words from Caroline Kennedy.
I'm here tonight to pay tribute to two men who have changed my life and the life of this country, Barack Obama and Edward M. Kennedy.
Came Monday's most memorable moment.
Senator Edward M. Kennedy.
Despite the trials of brain cancer, the tribulations of chemotherapy, Senator Ted Kennedy pushed his doctors and pushed himself to make this appearance.
And I pledge to you that I will be there next January on the floor of the United States Senate when we begin the great...
The audience loved him. He loved them back. The delegates did hear from Kennedy in an 8-minute video tribute played on stage. Ted Kennedy of today from his home on Cape Cod.
I grew up in a family that wanted to achieve in the sense of making a difference in people's lives.
And Ted Kennedy of years gone by.
As long as I have a voice in the United States Senate, it's going to be for that Democratic platform plank that provides decent quality health care.
The tape ends with a clip from Kennedy's last impassioned speech about his party and the man who will inherit it this week.
My friends, I ask you to join in this historic journey, to have the courage to choose change. It's time again for a new generation of leadership. It is time now for Barack Obama.
And a final gesture from his beloved sailboat.
We're all set now.
As Senator Kennedy left the stage with his family at his side, there were men and women here weeping. Katie, Senator Kennedy did his job, setting an emotional level to this convention. Soon enough, it'll be Michelle Obama's turn to do her job.
All right, Byron Pitts. Byron, thank you. Bob Schieffer is our CBS News chief Washington correspondent and anchor of Face the Nation. This is the 20th convention he's covered in the past 40 years. He's up at the podium, and joining me here on the floor is our senior political correspondent, Jeff Greenfield. Bob, let me start with you, and I know you're up on the podium over my left shoulder. You have covered Capitol Hill for many, many years. I'm interested in hearing your impressions of this very emotional tribute to Ted Kennedy tonight.
Well, I have to tell you, Katie, this is one of those great moments in political history. You know, we talked to Senator Kennedy's press secretary last night. They weren't sure he was going to be able to be here, that his health was going to allow him to even come to the hall. And earlier today, we heard that, yes, he was going to be able to come. They weren't sure he was going to be able to speak. You know, there's nothing quite like the Kennedy name to light up any Democratic gathering, just the mention of a Kennedy. But when you have Caroline Kennedy introducing Edward Kennedy, who's fighting brain cancer as we speak, and to see him come up on the stage and to vow that he'll be there when Congress reconvenes next year, it was a moment that these delegates will never forget. I think it's a moment that a lot of people in the hall will never forget.
And Jeff, you know, clearly Ted Kennedy is beloved in this hall and by many Democrats across the country. He is an icon. But I'm curious whether you think his close association with Barack Obama may not help him with some of these blue-collar Democrats that both he and John McCain are desperately trying to woo.
Well, I think blue-collar Democrats, Katie, have always been part of the Kennedy coalition. I certainly think among Republicans, Ted Kennedy is the person that they raise money from fellow Republicans by frightening them about Ted Kennedy's power. But I do think that the association with the Kennedys is the Obama campaign's way of separating themselves a little bit from what came after the Kennedys, which were the Clintons.
Meanwhile, let's talk about the overall goals of this convention. What is Barack Obama's top priority here in Denver?
I really think it is the essence of this convention is to convince people who aren't sure about Barack Obama. He's relatively new. They don't know a lot about him. There may be a racial issue for some, that he is one of them, that he shares their concerns, he shares their values, and that his policies are about making their lives better in concrete ways. Even some Democrats have criticized Obama for being too up here, too ethereal, and asked him to get down to the grassroots. That's the goal of this convention, I think, Katie.
And Bob, turning back to you, there's been an awful lot of scuttlebutt here in Denver. Some, I think, created partially by the media to really create some drama in this convention, but about the continuing tensions between the Obama and Clinton camps. What's the bottom line there, Bob?
Oh, the bottom line is, I mean, both sides deny there's anything but cooperation going on. But there's tension. I think it is more among the workers, the people that work so hard in both these campaigns. You also have another addition to the Bill Clinton book of slights. We're told that the former president is not happy with the role that he's been given. He's told some people that he thinks he's being micromanaged. He doesn't really like the topic that he's been assigned to give. But my sense of it is all that'll be worked out before this is ended. Where this convention, where it comes down to the bottom line is how Barack Obama comes off when he speaks on Thursday night.
All right, Bob, thanks so much, and we'll be talking to you a bit later, and Jeff, to you as well. But we have some breaking news now. At least 2 people have been arrested in connection with a possible plot to assassinate Barack Obama here in Denver. Mark Strassman is here at the Pepsi Center with the very latest on this developing story. Mark, what can you tell us?
Katie, in a few minutes, police in Aurora, a suburb of Denver, are going to hold a press briefing to talk about a case involving drugs, weapons, and a possible assassination attempt on Barack Obama. We're now hearing at least 4 people, 3 men and 1 woman, are under arrest. This case began Sunday morning when police pulled over a pickup truck that was driving erratically. Inside the truck, police found 2 high-powered scoped rifles, camouflage clothing, a bulletproof vest, other things that immediately raised their suspicion. According to KCNC, our CBS affiliate here, one of the suspects told investigators there was a plot to assassinate Barack Obama Thursday night when he speaks at Invesco Field, the outdoor stadium here, using a high-powered rifle sighted at 750 yards. The ATF, the FBI, federal agencies all investigating this case right now. Again, this is a possible plot. It is not clear exactly what these guys were up to, but clearly the suspicions here have been raised, and that is only going to ramp up security all the more around not only the Pepsi Arena here, but also, of course, Katie, Invesco Field Thursday night when Barack Obama speaks.
All right, Mark Strassman. Mark, thank you. Barack Obama will be nominated here on Wednesday night. He'll accept on Thursday, as Mark mentioned, not here but nearby in the open air of Invesco Field. He has no plans, actually, to come here to the Pepsi Center this week, but he will address the convention by satellite from Kansas City, Missouri tonight, right after Michelle Obama, his wife, speaks. Dean Reynolds is with the candidate. Dean?
Katie, good evening. Barack Obama was in Iowa earlier today where he spoke to a select group of undecided voters, and he outlined his plan of attack against John McCain.
His policies don't deserve respect. His ideas don't deserve respect because they're the same old ideas that we've seen out of George Bush for the last 8 years.
Now, it is vital for Barack Obama to draw this distinction clearly with John McCain. And as vital is it for him to convey this sense of who he is, where he's coming from. Even though he's been out there on the hustings for 19 months, he and his aides all agree that the country really doesn't know him very well. And so he'll be trying to convey that to them this week. And finally, it is the task of his tonight and for the rest of this week to show this is a united party, that this party can go ahead and contest this election in a united way and do it right now when most Americans are watching. Katie?
All right, Dean Reynolds, team, thank you. CBS News live coverage of the 45th Democratic National Convention will continue as we await Michelle Obama's address in a moment.
His brother, Robert Kennedy.
9 months after John F. Kennedy was assassinated, his brother stood before the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City. The delegates applauded for 13 minutes in tribute to the slain president.
One of the biggest challenges for geoscientists is trying to find the oil and gas that's hidden below the surface of the Earth. Lately, our researchers have developed a new technology called R3M. You can't see it and you can't feel it, but the Earth has electromagnetic waves. And if you build the right kinds of listening devices, you can make sense of those waves. So using those tools, we can supply more of the energy that we need with less of an impact on the environment.
Before you go back to school, make sure you see the scariest product placement movie of the summer. Instinct, only from Sprint. Featuring lightning-fast internet, starring killer texting, and with special guest, voice-cued GPS navigation.
Find 125 Lake Drive.
Turn right 2 miles. Going back to school? Get the new Samsung Instinct, now playing for just $129.99, only on the Now Network. See you in class.
Time is a thief. As you age, it may even silently steal your bone strength. 1 out of 2 women over 50 will suffer an osteoporosis-related fracture in her lifetime. Prescription Actonel is proven to not only help prevent bone loss, but can also help increase bone strength to help protect you from fracture. And now with this rebate, Actonel is up to $20 off. You should not take Actonel if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for 30 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Actonel and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. If you experience bone, joint, or muscle pain, which may be severe, promptly contact your doctor. To get up to $20 back on Actonel, call 1-877-ACTONEL or visit Actonel.com. Ask your doctor about how Actonel can help you prevent and treat postmenopausal osteoporosis. Actonel, help protect what's yours.
When there are mysteries to solve.
What if I told you that someone not far from here is close to cloning a human being?
We shouldn't be doing this. It's based on what, a hunch?
Once upon a time, gravity was just a hunch.
There are lives to save.
Every scientific experiment requires sacrifice.
She's not an experiment. She's a human being.
He's called in at the 11th hour. CBS Thursdays this fall after CSI.
And we're back now from Denver. One of the speakers here tomorrow will be Governor Kathleen Sebelius of Kansas. She had long been mentioned as a possible running mate for Barack Obama. Governor Sebelius, nice to have you here.
Thanks, Katie. Nice to be here.
I know that Kansas has not gone for a Democrat for president, and I'm sure you've heard this time and time again, since 1964.
That's right.
Do you really think there's a chance that the state of Kansas could turn blue this year?
Well, Barack has strong Kansas ties. His grandparents and his mom come out of Kansas, so we feel he's our favorite grandson. And there's a strong familial tie, and he's been in Kansas a lot. Kansans vote for me. We only have 27% of our voters registered as Democrats, but I won by almost 60% of the vote. So I'm doing everything I can to say to the people who vote for me, if you like what we're doing in Kansas, if you like the progress we've made made. What I need is a partner in Washington, somebody to work on health care and energy policy, and Barack Obama is that guy.
You were long mentioned as a possible vice presidential contender. Do you think the Obama campaign could risk naming you for fear of offending Hillary Clinton supporters?
You know, there is so much second guessing of what's going on. I think Barack had an array of talented people who were eager to help him and be supportive, and I think he's made a great choice. Joe Biden is a friend of mine. He brings a lot of strength, a lot of important expertise, and really is somebody who will help Barack deliver on the change agenda. That's what Americans are looking for, not just promises, but somebody who will really move this country forward.
I know you all are trying to minimize any sort of chasm or tension between the Obama camp and the Clinton camp. Having said that, a new poll shows that more women feel, or more voters, supporters of Hillary Clinton, or fewer supporters of Hillary Clinton feel comfortable with Barack Obama than they did earlier this summer. Are you concerned about that trend?
Well, I think at the end of the day, the women who supported Hillary Clinton and the men who supported Hillary Clinton will end up supporting Barack Obama. The policies that she talked about, the kind of America she wanted to deliver, is so much in tune with where he wants to take this great country, and she is an enthusiastic supporter of his. She's going to tell people that again tomorrow night. She is 100% on board. She serves with both John McCain and Barack Obama. She's made her choice, and I think she's going to urge all of her supporters to be with her and make sure Barack is elected president.
Now, you're considered a very pragmatic, practical governor, and there have been some feeling, even among Barack Obama's supporters, that he needs to get down to brass tacks and sort of replace the lofty rhetoric with very real, practical solutions to America's problems. Is this the right venue? Will he be able to do that this week in Denver?
Well, conventions are not a very intimate setting, as we've just talked about. There are thousands of people here. This will be a very open and inclusive event. But I don't think there's any question. One of the things Barack did shortly after he sealed the nomination was to bring all the governors together and talk very specifically about economic policy, energy policy, educating our kids, health care. We were all really struck by not only his proposals, but the fact that he wants to work with us, and he really listened. He asked for how he can partner with us moving forward, and we haven't had that in a long time coming out of Washington.
Now, this is a big night for Michelle Obama, his wife, who's been slightly controversial. What do you think she needs to do tonight to win people over?
I am so enthusiastic about Michelle. She's bright, she's beautiful, she's talented, she's a working mom with a very compelling story of her own. I think Americans just need to get to know her. She hasn't been in that public spotlight for a long time, and I think they will like her a lot. I think they will find her very compelling, and they will find her to be a wonderful inspiration as First Lady of the United States.
Kathleen Sebelius, Governor of Kansas, thank you so much for talking with us tonight. We
nice
appreciate
to see
you
you,
stopping
Katie.
by in the mayhem of this convention. Thank you.
Very exciting.
Meanwhile, Byron Pitts is with some delegates, and they're telling him what they're hoping they'll hear from Michelle Obama tonight. Byron?
Hey, Katie, I'm with Reverend Marvin McMickle. He's a pastor from Cleveland, Ohio, and a delegate from Ohio. Reverend, for those people in your home state, places like Pennsylvania, who haven't yet bought into Barack Obama, don't feel comfortable with his wife, Michelle, what does she need to do tonight to convince those kind of Democrats to come on board?
She needs to be who she really is, a person of enormous personal success, a deep professional achievement, but a wonderful wife and a wonderful mother. The most important task for her is to be who she really is, tell her own personal story, let us see that she is, like her husband, the American dream come true.
But people say that they find her husband aloof, that in some of her public appearances, people have called her edgy, distant. How does she bridge that gap to those people?
Yeah, I think she just has to grow on her. You know, she's not been out here for a long time like some families. So once they begin to feel themselves at home in the political environment, loosen up a little bit and talk about themselves and their own struggle and their own hardship and all they have to overcome to get where they are, we'll see in them our own story about suffering, about family struggle, about success, about achieving against the odds. That's the America that I know. That's the person that she is.
Can she deliver that kind of speech, though? Because
I've heard her do it. I've heard her speak in Cleveland on a couple of occasions. She just reached right out from the podium to about 1,500 people in the student assembly. Did a marvelous job. We're going to find out tonight, this is a wonderful woman and a very gifted potential First Lady.
I've heard you preach. You're a gifted speaker. What tip would you give Michelle Obama tonight, something she needs to do in connecting with people?
Relax. These people love her. This is her crowd. She doesn't have to win this crowd in here over. She has to preach beyond us, reach out to the cameras, reach out to the country, reach out to the world, let them see her, hear her, know her heart, know her love for her husband and for her country. If she does that, she'll be fine.
All right, Reverend Murphy McMichael, Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you, sir. Katie, I was talking to a superdelegate from South Carolina earlier today, and she said that while she supports Michelle Obama, she said tonight Michelle needs to be less Jackie and more Jackie Go when she speaks, not to this audience, but as the Reverend said, to the audience beyond this arena.
All right.
Katie?
Byron Pitts, Byron, thank you. Less Jackie, more Jackie O. Okay, and still ahead, the woman of the hour, Michelle Obama, and I'll be back from Denver right after this.
You shall not crucify the South on this cross of civil rights.
In the early hours of the morning, Harry Truman rallied his party with an electrifying speech after Southern delegations walked out of the convention in a battle over civil rights.
Senator Sparkley and I will win this election and make these Republicans like it. Don't you forget that.
And that's exactly what they did in one of the greatest electoral upsets in history.
Introducing an Applebee's neighborhood value. Endless favorites. Endless riblets, chicken fingers, or panko crusted shrimp. Your choice, all you can eat, starting at $9.99. Endless favorites starting at $9.99 only at Applebee's. It's a whole new neighborhood.
Extra bacon, no lettuce, no tomato.
That's me. Could have had a V8. 100% vegetable juice with 3 of your daily vegetable servings in every little bottle.
It's time for everyone to wake up and seize power. The power of over 7,000 movements a minute. The power to clean tooth by tooth and reduce up to twice as much plaque as a regular manual brush. The power to demand a dentist-like smooth, clean feeling every day. Power to the people. Oral-B.
Dave's got gold medalist Shawn Johnson, Tracy Morgan, and a Democratic Convention top 10 tonight.
During the Honda clearance, we're making room for the 09, so I can help you get a good deal, like a lease on a roomy, family-friendly Odyssey for $239 a month. Gas prices being what they are, Honda makes a lot of sense. You concerned about fuel costs?
It's been on my mind. I'm doing a lot less river fording than I thought.
The Honda clearance ends September 2nd.
Nice. Thank you. What are you doing?
What, I can't have a fry?
I thought you said you weren't hungry.
I'm starving. All my money's been going to the cable bill lately.
Hey, you should get an AT&T bundle. My rate is so low, I never have to skip a meal.
What? Why you not? Guess you won't be needing this burger.
Get home phone with unlimited long distance and high-speed internet for under $60 a month. That's not an introductory price.
And welcome back to Denver, everyone. A film about Michelle Obama is in progress here at the Democratic National Convention. Let's listen.
We raised Craig and Michelle to go to college, but we teased them about how some people went away to college and never came back to their community.
My mom and dad would always say that if just a few people would come back and live in the community, it would make all the difference in the world. And we talked about that a lot.
She was very committed to the south side of Chicago. She was very committed to using every bit of her skills and her talent to lift others up.
After law school, Michelle came back, and at first she worked for a big law firm. that was where she met Barack.
The firm was a buzz about this hotshot first-year law student from Harvard. His name was Barack Obama, and I thought, well, who names their kid Barack Obama? So I figured this guy has to be weird.
She was assigned as my summer advisor. I was late that day. I don't think I made such a great impression, but she was dazzling.
When he first showed up, he was a little late, so I thought, well, maybe he didn't have his act together. But then when he walked in, he was very handsome, and he had this air of interesting in him that I didn't expect.
I didn't see a ring on her hand. So turned out she didn't have a boyfriend, but she was very resistant to the idea of some inter-office dating. I asked her a couple times, and she was sort of pushing me off a little bit.
And then he made his big move.
Finally, there was a company picnic, and on the drive back, I offered to buy her ice cream. That is what put her over the top. That's where she said, you know, this guy knows how to treat a woman.
He's gathered here in Denver. Listen to the story of Barack Obama and Michelle Robinson's courtship in their early days as young lawyers working together in Chicago. Jeff Greenfield, why is so much attention being paid to Michelle Obama? Why do first ladies matter or potential first ladies matter so much?
Because when Americans elect a president, it is a very intimate office. It's not like electing a prime minister. They want to know what this couple embodies. And whether it's Mary Todd Lincoln or Eleanor Roosevelt or Nancy Reagan or Hillary Rodham Clinton, first ladies are often in the line of fire because people think they see the presidential character in part through the person that president married.
And there have been so many marital indiscretions, if you will, recently in the public eye when you think about Bill Clinton, even the governor of New York, Elliot Spitzer, most recently John Edwards. Do you think the voters really want to see a couple who is faithful to one another?
Yes, and I believe in the primaries, you quoted Harry Truman often to these candidates saying if a man can't be honest with his wife, can he be honest with the country? A lot of Americans believe that, and many more want to see what this dynamic is like, whatever that marriage is. They think they can see the president through the marriage.
Now, after this video tribute to Michelle Obama, she'll be introduced by her brother, Craig Robinson, and he is best known as the head basketball coach at Oregon State University. That's changing, of course. His new claim to fame is Michelle Obama's brother. Very few people know Michelle Obama as well as you do. How would you describe her?
You know, Katie, I'd describe her the way everyone else is seeing her right now. She's very poised, very smart, beautiful. She's my little sister. She's just what you see. It's been really a pleasure watching her evolve in this role.
You all didn't have a lot of advantages growing up.
No, we didn't. But, you know, if you knew my father, you knew that was no reason to not achieve and not try and do your best. And what my parents' mantra was self-confidence and hard work.
This whole thing must be quite a head trip for all of you, but particularly for Senator Obama himself. How has he changed through this process, do you think?
You know, I don't think he's changed at all. I mean, I think he has always been this thoughtful. He's always been this charismatic. I mean, listen, I had every reason not to like him as a potential brother-in-law. So I signed off on him many years ago.
What do you mean you had every reason not to like him? Just because you had high standards for your sister?
Exactly, exactly. I you know, brothers are supposed to, they do all the due diligence on the potential husband material, and he passed with flying colors.
After this speech tonight, what one word would you like viewers all across the country to use to describe your sister?
You know, there is no real one word, but my sister, if nothing else, is very sincere.
That's a good word.
Thanks.
Craig Robinson, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff Greenfield, to counter sort of the notion that Barack Obama has a somewhat exotic upbringing, raised in Hawaii, do you think that Michelle Obama will emphasize what is considered sort of a quintessentially American story, raised on the south side of Chicago, humble beginnings, really pulling herself up from her bootstraps, if you will?
Because the Republicans are so determined to paint Barack Obama as kind of a celebrity, the word they use all the time, kind of above it, and that they're going to point to Michelle Obama's Ivy League degrees as though, rather than a sign of achievement, that's a sign of elitism. And I think we're going to hear a lot of stories tonight about how ordinary a lot of their lives is, raising two small kids, trying to bond regular voters with this couple.
And a few months ago, Bob Schieffer, Michelle Obama's approval ratings were below Cindy McCain's. They have ticked up a bit. She's still below Cindy McCain, but they have ticked up a bit recently. What do you think she needs to do tonight to get voters to back her and be in her corner?
Well, I think she's going to kind of emphasize the softer side. I think she's going to talk a lot about her biography, about growing up. Earlier today, she was on a satellite radio show, and she said she was not going to be a major presence in the White House. She didn't say it, but what she meant was, I'm not going to be like Hillary Clinton. I won't be taking a major role. Barack Obama is going to be the president, and I'm his wife. And I think you're going to see more and more emphasis on that. I think there has been a bit of a perception that she was, someone else used the word earlier, a bit edgy. And I think they'll try to take some of that edge off tonight. She's a very compelling speaker. I think we'll hear a very good speech tonight, Katie.
And she'll be talking, Jeff, a lot about her husband, Barack Obama, because this is partially about her, but a lot about the candidate himself.
This entire, whatever is said these next 4 nights is fundamentally designed to reshape or shape the view of Barack Obama. I also think the Democrats remember that 4 years ago, Teresa Heinz Kerry, Senator John Kerry's wife, gave a speech, and it was not universally admired even by the Democrats. They thought that she was a little bit edgy, to use Bob Schieffer's term, a little bit exotic, spoke a lot of different languages in her introduction. And I really think the idea of bringing back this image of Michelle and Barack Obama as this young couple with 2 kids that, that live the lives that ordinary Americans do is a major theme. I know a lot of people say that's irrelevant. We should vote on policy. We should vote on their prescription drug plans. But in fact, Americans always have voted on the character, or what they think is the character of the president, and that very much includes the family.
As you mentioned earlier, Barack Obama needs to get a little more specific, or according to even some of his supporters, and talk about his plans to improve the lives of the average American. But that's a pretty tough thing to do in a huge convention, and certainly in a football stadium that holds 76,000 people on Thursday night.
One of his principal advisors told me a couple of weeks ago that the goal is to link Obama's programs to a sense that somehow what has happened to the ordinary American is not really fair, that it's in a sense un-American. To try to link it to a sense of patriotism and say, no, these plans are about the country and its values, not just about making jobs better or getting your pay better. I think that's what they're up to.
Meanwhile, Bob Schieffer, how does John McCain counter all the attention that's being given to Barack Obama this week? I know that their motto has been a mile high and an inch deep, so they're trying to criticize him for being superficial, which is kind of a continuation of the celebrity attack that the McCain campaign has embarked on in recent weeks. But what else can the Republicans do to at least grab a little bit of the limelight?
Oh, I think they'll try to do what the other party always does. They'll try to stir up a little trouble amongst Hillary Clinton supporters and Obama supporters. They'll try to fan that flame a little bit. They'll try to point out that John McCain is a man of experience, that Barack Obama is a person who makes very good speeches. That's going to be the bottom line of what their sort of strategy is going to be from here on in. The McCain people would like this to be a referendum on Barack Obama, and by that they mean a referendum on his experience. Obama's people, of course, will try to make it a referendum on George Bush and the last 8 years. They'll keep asking the question, are you really better off? Both parties, though, have a definite strategy here, and I think the one that prevails will be the one that will win this election.
All right, Bob Schieffer. Bob, thank you. As we mentioned, Michelle Obama's big brother, 46-year-old Craig Robinson, who's currently the basketball coach at Oregon State University, is introducing his little sister. Let's listen.
Now, my sister had grown up hearing my father and me talk about how you can judge a person's character by what type of sportsman they are. So she asked me to take him to play basketball. And if you're looking for a political analysis based on his playing, here it is. He's confident but not cocky. He'll take the shot if he's open. He's a team player who improves the people around him, and he won't back down from any challenge. Together, I've watched Barack and Michelle strengthen each other. I've watched them create a home filled with love and grounded in faith. During challenging times, I've watched Michelle and Barack stand by each other. And I know they'll stand by you, the American people, now and in the future. So please join me in welcoming an impassioned public servant, a loving daughter, wife, and mother, my little sister, and our nation's next First Lady, Michelle Obama.
Time for Michelle Obama's big moment. Her speech is about 21 minutes long. She's said to have written it entirely on her own with a little finessing from the Obama campaign's very able speechwriters. She'll spend a good bit of time, as we mentioned, talking about herself, her upbringing, and a lot of time talking about her husband.
As you might imagine, for Barack, running for president is nothing compared to that first game of basketball with my brother Craig. I can't tell you how much it means to have Craig and my mom here tonight. Like Craig, I can feel my dad looking down on us, just as I've felt his presence in every grace-filled moment of my life. And at 6'6", I've often felt like Craig was looking down on me too, literally. But the truth is, both when we were kids and today, Craig wasn't looking down on me. He was watching over me. And he has been there for me every step of the way since that clear day in February 19 months ago, when with little more than our faith in each other and a hunger for change, we joined my husband, Barack Obama, on the improbable journey that has led us to this moment. But each of us comes here also by way of our own improbable journey. I come here tonight as a sister, blessed with a brother who is my mentor, my protector, and my lifelong friend. And I come here as a wife who loves my husband and believes he will be an extraordinary president. And I come here as a mom whose girls are the heart of my heart and the center of my world. They're the first things I think about when I wake up in the morning and the last thing I think about before I go to bed at night. Their future and all our children's future is my stake in this election. And I come here as a daughter raised on the south side of Chicago by a father who was a blue-collar city worker and a mother who stayed at home with my brother and me. My mother's love has always been a sustaining force for our family. And one of my greatest joys is seeing her integrity, her compassion, her intelligence reflected in my daughters. My dad was our rock. And although he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in his early 30s, he was our provider. He was our champion, our hero. But as he got sicker, it got harder for him to walk. Took him longer to get dressed in the morning. You know, but if he was in pain, he never let on. He never stopped smiling and laughing, even while struggling to button his shirt, even while using 2 canes to get himself across the room to give my mom a kiss. He just woke up a little earlier and he worked a little harder. He and my mom poured everything they had into me and Craig. It was the greatest gift a child could receive, never doubting for a single minute that you're loved and cherished and have a place in this world. And thanks to their faith and their hard work, we both were able to go to college. So I know firsthand from their lives and mine that the American dream endures. And you know, what struck me when I first met Barack was that even though he had this funny name, and even though he had grown up all the way across the continent in Hawaii, his family was so much like mine. He was raised by grandparents who were working class folks just like my parents, and by a single mother who struggled to pay the bills just like we did. And like my family, they scrimped and saved so that he could have opportunities that they never had for themselves. And Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values, like you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do, that you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them. And Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them. And as our friendship grew, and I learned more about Barack, he introduced me to the work that he'd done when he first moved to Chicago after college. You see, instead of going to Wall Street, Barack went to work in neighborhoods that had been devastated by the closing of steel plants. Jobs dried up, and Barack was invited back to speak to people from those neighborhoods about how to rebuild their community. And the people gathered there together that day were ordinary folks doing the best they could to build a good life. See, they were parents trying to get by from paycheck to paycheck, grandparents trying to get it together on a fixed income, men frustrated that they couldn't support their families after jobs had disappeared. You see, those folks weren't asking for a handout or a shortcut. See, they were ready to work. They wanted to contribute. They believed, like you and I believe, that America should be a place where you can make it if you try. And Barack stood up that day and he spoke words that have stayed with me ever since. He talked about the world as it is and the world as it should be. And he said that all too often we accept the distance between the two and we settle for the world as it is, even when it doesn't reflect our values and aspirations. But he reminded us that we also know what the world should look like. He said, we know what fairness and justice and opportunity look like. And he urged us to believe in ourselves, to find the strength within ourselves to strive for the world as it should be. And isn't that the great American story? It's the story of men and women gathered in churches and union halls, in high school gyms, and people who stood up and marched and risked everything they had, refusing to settle, determined to mold our future into the shape of our ideals. And it's because of their will and determination that this week we celebrate 2 anniversaries. The 88th anniversary of women winning the right to vote, and the 45th anniversary of that hot summer day when Dr. King lifted our sights and our hearts with his dream for our nation. And I stand here today at the cross currents of that history, knowing that my piece of the American dream is a blessing hard won by those who came before me, all of them driven by the same conviction that drove my dad to get up an hour early each day to painstakingly dress himself for work, the same conviction that drives the men and women I've met all across this country, people who work the day shift, then kiss their kids goodnight and head out for the night shift without disappointment, without regret. See, that goodnight kiss is a reminder of everything they're working for. The military families who say grace each night with an empty seat at the table. The servicemen and women who love this country so much, they leave those they love most to defend it. The young people across America serving our communities, teaching children, cleaning up neighborhoods, caring for the least among us each and every day. People like Hillary Clinton, who put those 18 million cracks in that glass ceiling so that our daughters and our sons can dream a little bigger and aim a little higher. People like Joe Biden, who has never forgotten where he came from and never stopped fighting for folks who work long hours and face long odds and need someone on their side again. All of us driven by the simple belief that the world as it is just won't do, that we have an obligation to fight for the world as it should be. And that is the thread that connects our hearts. That is the thread that runs through my journey and Barack's journey and so many other improbable journeys that have brought us here tonight, where the current of history meets this new tide of hope. And you see, that is why I love this country. And in my own small way, I've tried to give back to this country that has given me so much. See, that's why I left a job at a big law firm for a career in public service, working to empower young people to volunteer in their communities, because I believe that each of us, no matter what our age or our background or our walk in life, each of us has something to contribute to the life of this nation. And it's a belief that Barack shares, a belief at the heart of his life's work. See, it's what he did all those years ago in Chicago, setting up job training to get people back to work and after-school programs to keep kids safe, working block by block to help people lift up their families. It's what he did in the Illinois Senate, moving people from welfare to jobs, passing tax cuts for hard-working families, and making sure women get equal pay for equal work. It's what he's done in the United States Senate, fighting to ensure that the men and women who serve this country are welcomed home not just with medals and parades, but with good jobs and benefits and health care, including mental health care. See, that's why Barack's running, to end the war in Iraq responsibly, to build an economy that lifts every family, to make sure health care is available for every American, and to make sure that every single child in this nation has a world-class education all the way from preschool to college. That's what Obama will do as President of the United States of America. He'll achieve these goals the same way he always has, by bringing us together and reminding us how much we share and how alike we really are. You see, Barack doesn't care where you're from or what your background is or what party, if any, you belong to. See, that's just not how he sees the world. He knows that thread that connects us, our belief in America's promise, our commitment to our children's future. He knows that that thread is strong enough to hold us together as one nation, even when we disagree. It was strong enough to bring hope to those neighborhoods in Chicago. It was strong enough to bring hope to the mother he met who was worried about her child in Iraq. Hope to the man who's unemployed and can't afford gas to find a job. Hope to the student working nights to pay for his sister's health care, sleeping just a few hours a day. And it was strong enough to bring hope to people who came out on a cold Iowa night and became the first voices in this chorus for change that has been echoed by millions of Americans from every corner of this nation. Millions of Americans who know that Barack understands their dreams. Millions of Americans who know that Barack will fight for people like them, and that Barack will bring, finally, the change that we need. And in the end, after all that's happened these past 19 months, see, the Barack Obama I know today is the same man I fell in love with 19 years ago. He's the same man who drove me and our new baby daughter home from the hospital 10 years ago this summer, inching along at a snail's pace, peering at us anxiously through the rearview mirror, feeling the whole weight of her future in his hands, determined to give her everything he'd struggled so hard for himself, determined to give her something he never had, the affirming embrace of a father's love. And as I tucked that little girl in, and her little sister into bed at night, you see, I think about how one day they'll have families of their own, and how one day they and your sons and daughters will tell their own children about what we did together in this election. They'll tell them how this time we listened to our hopes instead of our fears. How this time we decided to stop doubting and to start dreaming. How this time in this great country where a girl from the south side of Chicago can go to college and law school, and the son of a single mother from Hawaii can go all the way to the White House, that we committed ourselves to building the world as it should be. So tonight, in honor of my father's memory and my daughter's future, out of the gratitude for those whose triumphs we mark this week and those whose everyday sacrifices have brought us to this moment, let us devote ourselves to finishing their work. Let us work together to fulfill their hopes, and let's stand together to elect Barack Obama, President of the United States of America. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless America.
You've been listening to 44-year-old Michelle Obama greeted by her two daughters following an emotional speech outlining her life story, as well as her husband, saying of her family, "I know firsthand from their lives and mine that the American dream endures." A warm reception here and a magnanimous gesture to Hillary Clinton, who she praised and said, "Put those 18 million cracks in the glass ceiling so that our daughters and sons can dream a little bigger and aim a little higher." So Jeff Greenfield, do you think she accomplished what she set out to do?
I thought this was a pretty effective melding of two things. One was to envelop her story and Barack Obama's story in very traditional values. Isn't that the American dream? Isn't that the American spirit? Singling out the military families who leave a empty space at the table and giving Clinton supporters a chance to cheer.
And there is her very proud husband, Senator Barack Obama, who's been campaigning relentlessly. So he is coming to this convention via satellite.
Hello, everybody. Hello from Kansas City. How about Michelle Obama? Now you know why I asked her out so many times, even though she said no. You want a persistent president. Hey, Michelle, you were unbelievable, and you also look very cute.
Thank you. That's Sasha.
And listen, I'm here with the Gerardo family here in St. Louis. This is Jim and Alicia, and like us, they've got daughters. We've got Lindsay, and we've got Hannah, and we've got Grace over here, and they've just been wonderful hosts the whole time that we've been watching.
Daddy, what city are you in?
I'm in Kansas City, sweetie. And Malia, Sasha, how do you think Mom did?
I think she did good.
All right. I think so too. Well, listen, I want you guys to look after the girls, look after Mommy. Before I get there, and I'll see you guys on Thursday, all right?
I love you, Daddy.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Sleep tight.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Daddy.
Love you, sweetie. You're great.
That, of course, is Senator Obama speaking to the convention, and Michelle Obama with her two daughters, Malia, who's 10, and Sasha, who's 7, who is quite precocious. Apparently, when Senator Obama was sworn in as U.S. Senator, little Sasha, who I think was at about 4 at the time, high-fived Dick Cheney during the process. So, meanwhile, we're going to go to Byron Pitts, who's talking to one of the delegates we've been hearing, actually 2 of the delegates we've been hearing from, to get their impressions of Michelle Obama's speech. Byron?
Betty Thomas, a delegate from Cincinnati, and Reverend Marvin McNichol, a delegate from Cleveland. Betty, I'll start with you. You were crying while she was speaking.
Yes, I wasn't expecting her to get that deep into my heart, you know, because I'm a Hillary delegate. That's a wonderful First Lady. What she did, it brought this nation together. All my neighbors, everybody in Cincinnati, everybody in Columbus, all of Ohio. That's our First Lady. That she touched my heart, not only as a mom, but as a daughter, and for her dad, you know, but for Barack. And anybody that has that lifespan and a marriage with the strong children and wanting to be there and being there for them, we got to work for them.
Betty Thomas, thank you so much. Reverend, you guys are the choir. She was preaching to the congregation outside. Do you think she made the point she had to make with them?
Exactly. I think she talked about her own family background, her own personal struggles. She identified with almost every segment of American society, the military, working families. She did exactly what she had to do tonight.
All right.
She did.
All right.
She did.
Well, Katie, the consensus here is that Michelle Obama did what she had to do. We'll see how the nation responds.
All right, I think those folks are definitely giving her 2 thumbs up. Meanwhile, let's go to Bob Schieffer. Bob, what were your impressions of Michelle Obama's address to this convention? Did she accomplish what she needed to do, or is the jury still out?
No, I think she described herself as the